Welcome everybody. Thank you for tapping in. If you're just tapping in, please hit the like button. Also share and hit the notification button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Helps in the platform. For those of you that's already subscribed, I want to thank you so much for your support, all your encouragement, all your words of advice, all your critiques is very much appreciated, and it's very well much needed for myself. All right, family, we on part 13 of my prison journey. For those of you that's just tapping in to my channel, we kind of going through my prison journey and some of the things that I went through during this journey, some of the things that helped to shape me into the man that I am today. You know, a lot of times when we think of a prison journey, we always, well, not always, but oftentimes we focus a lot on the negative aspects of doing time in prison. And although that is true in some sense, but there also is some things that you can learn while in prison to make you a better man or even a better woman in some cases. So I'm here to share that, you know, the things that helped me to shape me into the man that I am today, and also to sprinkle in a little bit of the negative side, because you know we want to get the real story. We don't want to get no watered down version or no make believe or no TV version. We want to try to make it as real as possible. So we on part 13 of my prison journey. At the present time, I'm housed in Lehigh County Prison, which is located in Allentown, Pennsylvania. You know, I'm kind of there held as a pre-trial inmate, meaning that I'm fighting my case. You know, my lawyers, you know, getting all the data, the discovery to kind of prepare to file certain motions to get certain evidence dismissed or not allowing the government to be able to use that evidence in trial. So, you know, I'm letting him work his hand, do what he do, you know, and at the same time, I'm doing my part as well by, you know, going on to the law library computer that they provide for us on the housing unit that I'm on, and you know, also I'm bidding. I'm in jail, so you know I gotta navigate prison. I gotta be on point. I gotta, you know, just because I'm fighting my case doesn't mean that I just fall asleep to what's going on in there and get rocked to sleep. You know, we not doing that. So I always gotta be on point and keep everything in perspective. So, you know, they allow us to buy a color, I think it's believe a little 13-inch color TV off of the commissary. A lot of channels, I must admit, a lot of channels. So you got plenty to watch. You know, if you're a sports fan like myself, I love the NBA, I love the NFL as well too, but you know, college football as well. But if you're a sports fan, you got plenty of channels to watch. So, you know, as I'm there in this prison, you know, some guys came in from they're from Brooklyn, New York, but they caught their case in the same area I caught my case. So the guys that were from Allentown, they kind of said, "Yo, you got two dudes here from New York, man." So yeah, so I went to introduce myself. You know, they were from Brooklyn, so you know, it's immediate connection. It's just something about Brooklyn. Don't mean to be geographical, but I got to be real. You know, it's just something about people from Brooklyn. They, you know, they kind of make a connection with each other. You know, it's just called having Brooklyn pride. You know what I mean? I love where I'm from. I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. But I met these two individuals. They telling me, you know, the town they was in. I'm like, damn, I don't know why I never seen them. But anyway, they was on a case, a big indictment that they had in that town where I caught my case at. And they had got caught up on that case. But, you know, when I was out, I personally, I never seen them out there. And I believe the reason was because they was always in Jersey. You know, Jersey and where I caught my case at is a bridge that just divides. It's like, you know, you go across the bridge, now you in Jersey. Come back across the bridge, now you in Pennsylvania. that kind of thing. So they was kind of like in Jersey, you know, doing their thing, but nonetheless, they was purchasing from somebody on the Pennsylvania side. So I'm like, oh yeah, y'all on that case? They like, yeah, man, damn, man, you know, dude turned us in, and you know, for those of you that know the case, you know what I'm talking about. Put it in the comment section. I know you know what I'm talking about, but so I'm kind of like schooling them in terms of, you know, when it comes to your case, you know, not to be broadcasting your case to everybody, not to be sharing sensitive information about your case to everybody, because as I said in a previous video, somebody could jump on your case. What do I mean by jump on your case? Meaning that they can listen, take all this information that you're sharing with them about your case, and even some of the details of the things you was doing on the street, and they just storing all that in the back of their head with the intentions of going to the U.S. attorney, United States attorney, you know, it's prosecutor, but in the feds they call it the U.S. attorney, and give them this information in hopes that the U.S. attorney will either let them go or reduce, you know, their sentence. So you gotta be on point for that, because people, they trying to go home. And one thing about the feds, you know, they'll give you a shot. You may not go home, but they'll give you a shot to cut whatever time you facing down significantly. You know, but you gotta provide the information that they're looking for. So I kind of schooled them that. It was like, I bet, you know, we ain't gonna do that. So strangely enough, myself along with the two men, they was co-defendants, we had the same judge. So I'm like, damn, I bet. So I'm telling them, like, look, sometimes the judge, he be doing cases in Philadelphia. So if you got a court hearing and he in Philadelphia, they gonna swing y'all over to the federal detention center in Philadelphia. Y'all gonna stay there, you know, for a couple days, week. Whenever y'all done y'all hearing, probably the next day or the day after, they'll come, the marshals will come get y'all and take y'all, bring y'all back to Lehigh County. So they like, oh, I you know, they ask me, you know, what I think about the case. I'm like, look, I'm not going to, you know, blow smoke up your, you know what. I don't know a whole lot about that per se. I know about, you know, distribution and things like that. But I tell you what, let's go to the computer, punch up the code, the statute of what your charges is, and you can read and you can learn everything about those charges. You can read some cases on, you know, men or even women that caught the same charges and see what the outcome was, see what they was able to remove from the case, and, you know, all, you know what I'm saying, all those different kind of things. So they had a court hearing coming up, but they was going to Philadelphia because the judge was in Philadelphia. So they like, yo, they, you know, judge in Philadelphia. I was like, yeah, y'all gonna go over there for like, you know, a few days, but y'all gonna come back. You know what I mean? They was like, think we're gonna come back to the same block when we come back? Said there's a possibility. It depends on bed space, because, you know, if they don't got bed space, they gonna put you wherever. You know what I mean? You might not go to the violent block, because they had two blocks that was a violent block, but you gonna go to another unit. It might not be the same unit. So anyway, they goes to the federal detention center in Philadelphia, right? Now, mind you, I done told them about doing this with your case. Like, it ain't for everybody. Like, you just need to just focus on studying your own case, because, you know, you ain't gonna put your own self under the gun. But now if you go to somebody else asking for advice or help, you might be going to a snake and get bit. So they was inside the holding cell. They was waiting to go into court. They was inside the holding cell. One co-defendant was in another holding cell. Another one was in another holding cell, because, you know, everything's predicated on space. So if this cell is filled up, they gonna move, you know, y'all, the rest of y'all go down here. So they happen to just be split in two different holding cells. So these dudes is on the gate, yelling out in the gate, yo, remember when we did this? Remember when we went to this place? Yo, remember after the club we did? Just broadcasting a whole business about what they was doing out there, and then, you know, bringing it up to speed of how it related to the case they was in now. unbeknownst to them, they had a guy in the holding cell that's just recording all of this. Recording all, man, it's a reason why you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You know what I mean? So this guy, he's using what means more, his ears. So he's just listening, taking all this in, absorbing all this, storing this in the back of his head, and saving it for a later date. So just like myself, they was fighting their case. They going to trial because they believe that, they got it. So anyway, I'm gonna speed it up a little bit just to show you the importance of not talking about your case so much, man. It ain't for everybody. So anyway, we're gonna speed it up to when they went to trial. They went to trial, boom. They bring the witnesses, the dude that they was buying the drugs from, he come, his girl come get on the stand or whatever the case is. And then, they bring another witness. The witness was a guy that was in one of the holding cells listening to them on the gate, talking about what they was doing out there, about the case and all that kind of stuff. He jumped on a case. Came up there, and why was it believable to the U.S. attorney and probably even the jury? Is because, in their mind, they like, well, how does he know all these, sensitive details and intimate details about their case and about the things they were doing out there in the streets when the government never shared this with anybody else? So they gotta be telling the truth. This man has to be telling the truth of the information he provided. You see what I'm saying? This is why you don't be doing all this, family. Keep your mouth closed and just wait for your turn to go to bat. You rushing the process. You trying to show off on the gate to let everybody know what you was doing. And look now, came, jumped on the stand, and boom. Anyway, they both end up maybe a week later, a few days later, they both end up getting convicted. One got I believe he got 25 years, and another one got I believe, I want to say like 12 and a half years. I might be off a little bit, but somewhere in that ballpark, he got that. So this is why I'm saying you don't be doing all this. You know what I mean? But shout out to the one that got 25 years. Right before, while I was doing my bid on this case, I looked on a computer. I was searching up some cases. I ran into his case, and he gave a whole lot of time back. So he's free now. He's a free man right now. Hopefully, he's on the right path. He's doing what he got to do to be a better man, to take care of his children and things of that nature. He's not, making the same mistakes that's going to put him back where he came from. So yeah, that's the important part, family, of not, and a lot of guys that's been in the feds for a long time, they tell you the same thing. Don't be talking to people about your case. Keep your legal work close to you. When you get to them federal detention centers and all them type of things like that, you need to be tying it up with a net bag, putting a lock on it, constantly watching, because people will jump on your case, man, and put you under the bus. I mean, people that don't even know you, but it makes no difference as long as the information that they providing is lining up with what the government already has. Ball game. They gonna put you away. Yeah, so in the meantime, my lawyer, he got some other motions that he filed, and then, so we waiting for a court date. So I'm gonna leave it on that note right there. The next part, we gonna start diving into the meat of the case. We're gonna go into these hearings, to give you some insight on what took place in the hearings, and then, we gonna bust through and get up to the trial. And then after that, series down the road, we're going to get into me actually doing my federal bid, starting out in California. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Put something in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you got any questions, any comments, or, maybe you might want to hear a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. put in the comment section, share something with me. Support your boy. Anyway, hit the like button. Also share. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's not going to cost a dime. It helps in the platform. And I'm going to leave as I always do. Remember, your potential for greatness is unlimited.